Hey everyone, thanks for joining in. Today we've got a couple of topics to break down. But first, we're starting with a clip of Remy Ma from the Let's Rap About It live podcast, where she appeared as a guest. During the discussion, the host brought up the track Why You F a Lion and asked her to share her thoughts on it. I've already posted a short segment of this in my shorts, but I wanted to include the full moment here as well for anyone who may have missed it. So with that said, let's go straight into the clip.
Turn it off, Drew. Seriously, turn it off. Remy, what you was talking about?
Hi, guys.
What you was talking about on that shit, Remy? First and foremost.
The fuck I want to talk about because ain't nobody gonna shit to me.
Ain't know what you do. Shit, relax, man. You want to be friendly? Yeah, it's a family show. It's a family show, so definitely just calm it down. You hear me? And women get close too, so you gotta watch how you talk. Watch how you talk about too. I'm with none of that. Remy, some of that drum energy while you're here.
I don't know what that Gino is talking about. Hi, Jim. How are you? How you doing?
How you feeling?
How are y'all doing? How are we Let's Rap About It podcast doing? How are y'all doing?
We're doing great. We wanted some advice from you. At least I did. At least I wanted some advice from you. You don't want to. We didn't friends for years.
I never ran from the police. Never. I drove away and did not stop. But some people I ran from the police.
It was against the law.
It was lies. It's not my fault either.
Honestly, people are acting like Remy's response was something shocking when she simply answered the question she was asked. Fabulous actually made the most sense in the moment, basically telling her not to get caught up in what others were saying. The real issue is the inconsistency. You can't label something as family friendly and then ask questions that clearly push boundaries and afterward act surprised by the response you get. Remy said what she said, stood by it, and didn't make it bigger than it needed to be. She chose not to engage in unnecessary reaction because there was nothing really to escalate, so she just kept it moving and carried on naturally. From the very start, the way people are reacting just doesn't really add up, especially when they try to label everything as family friendly and then act shocked at her response. It feels inconsistent because it's pretty obvious most viewers already know exactly who she was referring to, especially considering everything that's been discussed in interviews over the past couple of years involving Claressa and Papoose. At this point, Remy Ma seems to be in a space where she's choosing to speak freely and address things on her own terms. With a Lifetime movie coming soon, a new verse already released, and more music expected to follow, she clearly isn't staying silent anymore. Ultimately, she's responding the way she wants and moving how she feels is right, and many people see that as completely fair. The way some people are acting like they're above it all really doesn't make sense, especially when only a few voices like Fab and Jim seem to be keeping it grounded. From what many observers are saying, it looks like Papoose has been reacting strongly to Remy Ma being active and visible again. First, there were claims about him asking for Knicks tickets, and then talk started building that he and Claressa might not be fully aligned, even if nothing is being openly said about it. Instead of clarity, what people are seeing is more studio activity from him, mixed with older verses resurfacing and new material like a track reportedly titled Backdoor on the way. To many, the overall tone feels tense and frustrated, even if nothing is being directly confirmed. It's not entirely clear who he's aiming at with the backdoor comments, but a lot of people think it could be directed toward Claressa based on the situation and timing. In the lyrics he shared, he talks about not being able to trust anyone these days, saying people are backdooring each other everywhere. He goes on to mention that friends, close partners, even family members can turn on you, emphasizing the idea that betrayal can come from anyone in your circle. He also repeats similar lines about day ones, brothers, and relationships switching up unexpectedly. Some listeners see it as him venting frustration tied to his personal life, while others take it more generally as a message about trust issues and disloyalty in relationships overall. Whoever he's referring to, he definitely comes across as frustrated and upset, and many people feel it ties back to Remy Ma being active and visible again. Before she started reappearing in the spotlight, things between him and Claressa seemed much calmer, and he often positioned himself as the positive figure, while casting Remy in a negative light in the context of their marriage. Now, however, some observers believe the narrative has shifted. and what was once controlled messaging is starting to be questioned. There's also talk that he appeared particularly annoyed about missing out on the Knicks' home games last week, especially since Claressa was in Atlanta while he was in New York, adding more fuel to the speculation around tension and frustration in his current situation. It definitely feels like there's more going on behind the scenes that they're not openly sharing right now. He was seen at the airport mentioning that his flight was delayed for several hours, and it's believed he was headed to Atlanta for an upcoming event connected to Salida Promotions and Win Records. What's also catching people's attention is that if he is in Atlanta, there hasn't been any recent sign of him and Claressa appearing together publicly since their trip to Aruba. That absence has led some to speculate that something might be shifting between them. At the same time, it's worth remembering that this is also a work-related trip, and they will likely appear united for the cameras during the event. So while people are watching closely, not everything being seen should automatically be read as personal or relationship confirmation. No, the situation isn't really about them being separated or anything like that. He simply has to be there because it's work. They're both tied to the same event, and the flyer itself shows that tickets are being given away for free, promoted by Win Records and Salida Promotions. Claressa even shared the post mentioning a ticket giveaway, inviting people to come out this Sunday to watch her fighters and boxing's rising prospects. To some observers, the fact that tickets are being distributed for free stands out and is being used to question the level of the promotion compared to bigger platforms like MVP. She seemed more comfortable promoting this event publicly, especially highlighting the ticket giveaway, which some people interpret as an effort to fill seats and build attendance for the show. Either way, the fact that tickets are being given away for free has people questioning what the actual profit model is, especially if the event will also be streamed or available online. It leaves some wondering how the promotion is structured and whether attendance is being boosted artificially just to fill seats. Because of that, some believe this is also the reason Papoose may have flown into town for the event, since everything will still be presented publicly and filmed for cameras. At the same time, attention has shifted to Claressa's online branding, where she has updated her profile to reflect more of a digital creator identity. To critics, this signals a shift away from her boxing image, especially since she currently doesn't have a fight booked and has been taking on other roles like judging on Zeus. From their perspective, this change is being interpreted as a move toward influencer-style content rather than her established identity as a world champion boxer. She now identifies herself as a digital creator online, which has left many people asking what changed. Naturally, fans are questioning what happened to her next fight and why there hasn't been any clear update since the trip to Aruba, especially after she hinted at a big announcement upon returning. Now, nearly 2 weeks later, the only confirmed moves being discussed are her role as a judge on Zeus and this shift in her online branding. From a critical standpoint, some people are reading this as a sign of a transition away from boxing, since there hasn't been any official fight news or major sporting update. That absence of clarity has fueled speculation, with observers suggesting that her focus may be shifting more toward entertainment and content creation rather than active competition in the ring. It feels like Papoose is still in pursuit of a hit, and with Remy Ma back outside dropping strong verses, some people think it's pushing him to step up his own output. From that perspective, it almost looks like competition is fueling his focus on music again. However, critics also point out that his recent projects haven't maintained consistent momentum, with earlier ideas like Bars on Wheels fading from the conversation after initial promotion. Now he appears to be concentrating more on new tracks, which some interpret as a reaction to others succeeding rather than a fully steady creative rollout. At the same time, questions are being raised about the public image he's presented, especially considering how openly he supported his relationship with Claressa and described it as positive in the past. That contrast is what leads some observers to wonder what has shifted behind the scenes if everything was truly as content as it was portrayed. From that point of view, it's being suggested that things may not be as smooth as they appear, with some claiming financial pressure is starting to show and making it harder to maintain the image of a perfect relationship. Critics argue that when money and expectations aren't aligned, it becomes difficult to keep up appearances. Because of that, some people believe his frustration could be directed toward Claressa, especially in connection with the Knicks ticket situation that has been circulating in discussions. However, this remains speculation and is interpreted differently depending on who is watching the situation unfold. In the end, viewers are left forming their own opinions about what might really be going on behind the scenes.